Hi, I'm Laurie and welcome to The Patient is Always Right. This is where myself and Derek, Ignite CEO and founder, have unfiltered real talk with guests from the aesthetics, medical, dental and wellness industries. No fluff, just the truth about building a business, facing challenges and working with patients in a fast-moving, ever-changing industry. We're bringing you the highs, the lows and everything in between. If you want honest conversations and real stories behind the success, you're in the right place. Welcome back to The Patient is Always Right, the minisodes. This is where we dive into real reviews, have a laugh and get brutally honest about what's working and what's not in the aesthetics, medical and dental world. Today's review, or at least the first one, is a short but savage and oddly poetic 1-star, 5-word, no punctuation. We have Jasmine back to give us her verdict on the review. So Jasmine, let's get to it. Simple but to the point. They are so bad, they hurt my teeth.
Oh. Is that it? There's nothing more?
That was it.
Oh, yeah. I feel sorry for this patient.
I guess my first question is, how do you even deal with that first of all, how do you deal with that kind of review?
I think you just have to take it on the chin because there's so many layers to that as to why their teeth were hurting. Were they sensitive? Did the dentist, gouge them? Like, there are so many questions that are unanswered, and I do hope that there was a response to clear that up because you just don't know why their teeth were hurting.
Yeah.
And now what this does kind of show is that maybe there was no explanation as to why they were sensitive in the dental appointment. That could have been a case. It could have just been, they might have had a hygiene appointment. And, when the water goes in and it gets really sensitive and you're kind of clinging onto your life, it hurts because it is cold. It's not because it's painful. Now, that patient could have had sensitivity. It could have literally had toothache. Or they could have got scratched by accident. Who knows what could have happened in that room? We weren't there. But what I do know is that this patient was kind of right because that's how they felt, and we can never take away someone's feeling.
Fair.
But again, it should have been clarified to them as to why their teeth were hurting. And maybe it was, but again, we can't speculate. But yeah, she was feeling how she was feeling.
Fine. So we're now going to get into another one, which is along the same lines. I thought I'd use that as a warm-up, but this one's long. So strap in. It's a bit of a ride. And we also have a reply for this one from the dentist. So just to say, this is on Google, 100% real. We're not going to use any names. But here we go. My husband had a recent treatment at the practice, after which I believe he had a very bad reaction. He was in bed for 2 days with a fever and aches. The issue is that he needed to see the dentist again as the gum got infected. My husband went to the clinic without an appointment and asked to see the dentist. The dentist agreed to see him, and upon seeing him, the dentist reprimanded my husband so badly. The dentist just went off on one and kept berating my husband for coming in without an appointment and delaying him. I don't think that was an appropriate way of talking to a patient when they're in pain. You're supposed to help and not just patronise. You could have just asked to book an appointment and refused to see him instead. You decided to talk to him in such a way that he felt embarrassed and hurt. There is no need to speak to anyone in such a poor way. We as a family have been to this dentist for a long time, and now none of us want to go back there. I don't understand when people in a position of power think that their time is worth more than the other people's time. You might have 400 patients, but please be kind to those who are in need of help. He said to my husband he is one of only 400 other patients. You should respect people. I don't believe that the way you spoke to my husband was appropriate.
Wow.
Okay, so that was the review.
Okay.
The response is nearly as long, if not potentially longer. We'll do the response, and then I'll get your thoughts. Okay. So dear ... we won't use the name. I'm so sorry that you have felt the need to express your sentiments of service received on a public forum. Nonetheless, I welcome the opportunity to correct any misunderstanding. As you are aware, the patient in question attended the surgery without an appointment. The correct protocol for that would be to book an emergency appointment within 24 hours, which would have not been on the same day. However, and ironically considering the post, I decided to make an exception and try to help. In endeavouring to ensure I help him, I did explain the correct protocol. Further, I simply explained that if 400 patients decided to turn up without an appointment, it would be chaotic. Hence, having taken the trouble to see him despite not having an appointment, it is naturally disappointing to see a negative review whereby the intention of the clinic was to help. Furthermore, we should point out that we will enforce our policy of no walk-in appointments, as it appears that endeavouring to help someone has only backfired on the clinic. Nonetheless, please accept my apology for any hurt. However, I am satisfied that the information imparted was correct and in line with current protocols. Blimey, they used a lot of big words.
Wow. I'm tired after
So am I. Right. Tell us, what do you think?
giving J.K. Rowling a run for their money.
I know.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack.
Should we do the review first?
Let's do the review first. Okay, so it's not uncommon to see a wife take charge, especially in the dental world.
Interesting.
So the wife is usually, we say, the decision maker, everything, the appointment maker, the decision maker, the money kind of decision maker, which is why we target a lot of ads to females, because they'll usually book the appointment on behalf of their husbands. Now, this wife is clearly caring. She's got a healthy marriage, it seems like, because she really cares about her husband, which is great. And they clearly had felt some type of way. And if he's had a reaction, obviously it's scary. We don't want someone to be sick or anything. And the fact that the husband's gone in when he's not feeling 100%, and they felt that they've been reprimanded for going in, that's a big kind of like red flag. To kind of go, okay, I've gone to the dentist and been told off. A lot of people have that fear of the dentist because they feel like they're going back to school. They feel like they're going to get in trouble for not flossing, for not brushing their teeth twice a day, the whole spiel, you know about it. And it's one of those things where people feel insecure about going to the dentist. Now, if you've already been to said dentist and then you're going back again because you've had a reaction to something or what you think is a reaction, you want comforting. You want to be told, right, let's fix it. You don't want to be told, or have your wrist slapped.
Yeah.
That's not how you want to be spoken to at the dentist. Now, if this person has gone to the dentist and said, hey, I've had a reaction, initially you should either just fix it or solve it and go, no, don't worry about it, it's normal, or okay, hang on, let's check it, let's see how we can solve this problem. I think maybe if what I've always said in that appointment room, how it was said was probably in the tone that came across, can feel that whole telling off head teacher kind of vibes. And the fact that they're 1 out of 400 patients, that shouldn't matter to a dentist, because a dentist's duty, and anyone in that dental practice, is that the patient comes first. The patient care is first, and we will do everything that we can do, whether that is running 10, 15 minutes late. I've run hours behind in appointments when I was in surgery, and we didn't care how long it took. We were going to fix that patient. And so this dentist is clearly, on a timer, and he's probably had a bad day. He might have fallen out with his wife. We don't know. But I think what we see here is that dentists are known for that whole telling off, and this patient's been told off, and they didn't appreciate that. And I think one thing which is really important is that the wife has written that they've been a long-standing patient of this practice. Now, this crossover I've seen time and time again in really intimate practices where patients have been there for 20, 30 years. They've been going since they were 5 years old, and now their kids are going. And that intimate relationship they have with their dentists the lines get crossed and the wires get crossed. So it's almost kind of like, oh, I can speak to you however I want because I've known you for years. So it's like, don't come into my surgery and tell me, you know what the rule is, just stick by it. I'm not going to give you any special treatment because you've been a patient for the whole 30, 40 years. So
yeah, no, that's a good point. And I guess in this instance, they've been told off twice, told off in person and then told off in a review as well.
The reply itself is the reply is just uncalled for. Clearly, the dentist feels embarrassed. And I think maybe this patient in particular felt embarrassed in surgery. So has just done tit for tat almost and reflected it on Google. Now, they felt the need to do it on Google because everyone's going to see it. And they wanted to make an impact because they're never going to return to that practice again. They're probably going to leave. And they want no one else to go to that practice. That's why they felt so passionate about putting it on Google. The whole length of that reply, he could have seen 5 other patients while he was typing that out. So I don't really know what his 400 other patients were waiting for him. How long did he spend writing that reply? Should have just been, do you know what? I was having a bad day, mate. I'm sorry. Let's leave it at that. Didn't need the whole goes back to, I'm telling you off again. We were already getting, you don't floss often, your gums are bleeding, you don't brush twice a day, you've got all these fillings, stop eating sugar, and now you're getting told, you follow the protocol. Now, the dentist is saying, I said what I needed to say. I followed protocol. Now, and I could take that in 2 different ways. Did he just tell that patient, you should have just booked an appointment? Did you just say you'd see him to tell him you should have just booked an appointment? Or did you tell him the dental care that he needed to take? Now, because at the sounds of it, you just told this poor person to go book an appointment. Why are you wasting my time?
Wow. Yeah. I mean, when I read that, I was like, my mind was kind of blown at the lack of remorse, because I think what wasn't mentioned in their reply was the pain that the patient felt, because that's obviously why they had come in without an appointment. And don't get me wrong, I understand, like, you have your protocol, you have your appointments, all of that, but at the end of the day, like you said, it's customer care, and like you should say I'm sorry or whatever. We don't know the ins and outs of why they felt pain, whether it was an infection based on something completely different, like we don't know all of that. But what I do know from this reply is that, I mean, I personally would not have replied like that.
It's going back to that whole thing that we kind of say, is that there's one business module in the dentistry course, and dentists seem to hone in on it and run with it. He's got 400 patients, so that's all he's thinking about. So he's got to make money, this dentist. He doesn't have time for that. And that's where the disconnect between patients, sales and dentistry happens. It's more so dentists just care about one big chunk of money, like how much money they can make. If they've got 400 patients, if you're not paying me, I don't have time to see you. And that's where that middle person, the treatment coordinator, is so vital, because they sift out all the crap basically that goes through the surgeries, and that person could have gone to the treatment coordinator, could have gone to a different person rather than the treating dentist, to kind of triage what was going on. And when you've got the dentist going, I've got 400 patients to see, the patient care goes out the window, because as a patient, I'm thinking all you care about was money. You don't care about my care. So, and then it becomes a case of the lack of conversion start happening, because now people will read that review. And if I want treatment from this dentist, in the back of my mind, I'm going to go, you just want money from me. You don't really care about my needs. Whereas a treatment coordinator is very much people person, very much what's wrong with you? How can I help you? Then I'll pass you on to the dentist. Dentist just needs to stick to dentistry. Customer service should be led by the people in the practice that are trained to do so.
Boom. I actually don't think could have said that better myself, or anyone else I know. So that's why we have you on. Thank you, Jasmine. That was lots of fun. I'm still slightly bamboozled by that one, to be honest. I think I have to read it again just to process it. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, watching, however you are consuming this. It's been a wild ride, but we would love to hear from you. So if you have any wild stories that you want to share, please do slide into our DMs, and we will have an Instagram poll for you to vote whether the patient was right or the dentist was right. I haven't actually asked you, so I think we can just assume that the dentist was wrong, right? Or sorry, yes.
The dentist was wrong. The patient was right in this case, yes.
Cool. Well, we've got our verdict. What's yours? Look forward to finding out. Love hearing the real stories behind the aesthetics, medical and dental industries? Make sure you follow us on Instagram and TikTok at The Patient Is Always Right for exclusive content. You can listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. And don't forget to watch the full episodes on YouTube. Hit follow, subscribe, and stay tuned.